You know that phrase, know, like, and trust? Well, it's kind of BS because everybody is focused on the like and trust part, and the only thing that actually matters is being known. See, the number one barrier to you having the success that you want in life is that no one knows who you are. Okay, your mama don't count. She's gonna love you no matter what. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how to get known. If you don't want to get stuck in obscurity, then check it out. The first thing I need to address is the whole know, like, and trust phrase. Everybody says it. I believe it was coined by John Jantsch of Duct Tape Marketing. It's a great phrase. I say it. It's really good. It's actually pretty useful if you pay attention to the know, like, and trust parts. The problem is most people put all their effort into the trust category. They put everything into that. That's like the conversions, that's the sales, that's the credibility indicators, the testimonials, case studies. Yes, you need those. Those are important, but they're a small piece of the puzzle because if no one sees it, then it doesn't matter if you're trusted. Like I said, your mama don't count. She trusts you, but the rest of the world has to trust you. And for that to happen, they have to know you. Now let's go into the like part. No one has to like you. Microsoft became one of the largest companies on the planet, and a lot of people didn't like them. A lot of people didn't even like their software. It didn't matter because they were so known, they were on all computers. That got people to invest in software that Microsoft owned. It allowed them to dominate computing for a very long time, and to a certain extent, they still do. And that's because they were known globally. A long time ago, I heard Howard Stern. This is before XM Sirius radio stuff. He was still on terrestrial radio, and he said that over half of his audience didn't like him. They had polled their audience, they did surveys on their audience, found that over half of his audience didn't like him, but they listened longer and more often than people who were fans. People who liked the Howard Stern show didn't listen nearly as much as the people who disliked him. The thing is you can win in life and nobody like you. President Donald J. Trump, number one example of that. That dude, nobody likes him, yet he still became president of the United States. So that's the thing. It's like being liked isn't actually important. People don't even have to like your product like in Microsoft's case. They just need to know you exist and that other people know you exist. It's called the network effect. The network effect built Microsoft. The network effect built fax machines. The network effect built Facebook. But you can't take advantage of that network effect if nobody knows who you are. So that's what we're going to put all of our effort on, is becoming known. Oh, wait, there's one more other naysayer thing that I know is going to happen. And that is, but Tim, I want my company to be known. I want my company's brand to be known. I personally don't want to be known. Guess what? You know Microsoft's name, but you also know Bill Gates' name. You know Apple's name, but you also know Steve Jobs' name. That is how you're going to succeed. You have to build both brands at the same time. I understand that you want to separate your name from your company's name, and that is going to allow you to build a sellable asset. And well, guess what? Almost no companies sell. Very few as a percentage. 90% of all businesses just go under within 10 years, leaving 10% of those companies. Out of those 10%, only a small percentage of those actually sell. The others, they just eventually shut down once the founder dies or retires. That's what happens to about 85% of all businesses. So you got the odds stacked against you. So don't worry so much about how you're going to exit this business that nobody knows exists. The first thing you need to work on is being known. Now that I've hammered all that stuff home, let's get into the 3 things you need to do to become known. The first thing you need to do is identify clusters of lookalike audiences. I love that phrase. Facebook created it. It's like the lookalike audience. You create an audience and then you use their tools to build new audiences that look similar to the one that you're targeting. That's what I did to get known back when I had a very popular podcast called The Foolish Adventure Show. About 1 million people had listened to me. And it didn't start off like that. It started off pretty hard. We did a lot to get known, and one of the things that I did was I joined groups of people that were similar to the audience that I wanted. The reason I was doing this was not because I'm trying to sell anything, and that's what a lot of people do. You might have done, joined a forum, joined a Facebook group, and then started spamming them with, hey, you need to buy my stuff. No, what I did was I joined and became useful. I came in with education. I came in and shared a point of view. And that got people to go back to my podcast and listen to it. And then from there, it ended up building a small business off of a show that I was doing simply as a hobby. But then that allowed me to capitalize on what I actually did, which was my entrepreneurial coaching and consulting. That was what I was really focused on. I didn't immediately go towards finding buyers. What I wanted to do was find an audience and then find lookalike audiences to get as many people to know who I am so that they start spreading my message for me. The network effect. I hinted at what you need to do. You need to join forums. You need to join Facebook groups. You need to join membership communities. There's a variety of ways of finding people who you believe would be a great audience member. Not necessarily a customer, but an audience member, because your audience is part of number 3, which is distribution. It's going to help you distribute your ideas to the rest of the world. The more people who know who you are, the faster your ideas spread, and then the more people know who you are, ultimately leading to the ability to influence, the ability to actually make money from the fact that people know who you are. My consulting's built on that. Microsoft's built on that. Facebook's built on that. The network effect is real, and you need to start building that network so that more people know who you are, not just you knowing people. The second thing you have to do is create content with an opinion. You have to take a stand for something. And honestly, the more controversial your stand, the faster it's going to spread. Or another thing that you could do is be really funny. I'm not. I wish I was. But I'm not, and I know it, so I'm not betting that I'm going to say something funny or I'm going to do a funny skit and then that's going to spread around the world. But if you are funny, use it, because that's going to help you have a point of view, a world view that other people will join along with. If you're controversial, and that doesn't mean bad, it just means that people talk about you, that there's some back and forth, like I'm for this idea, I'm against that idea. If you can find that in your opinion, that is going to help your content spread. Because, back to Howard Stern, over 50% of his audience didn't even like him, but they spread his message. They helped him get rich because they were paying attention. So find your opinion. Find what you stand for. Find your point of view, your worldview, and share it. The thing is, the platforms that you're creating, the content you're creating right now, you're putting them on your blog, maybe you're doing some SEO, and eventually people are going to start seeing that. People are watching my videos, but it's a small number of people at this stage. So my distribution is like throwing a pebble into a puddle right now. I throw that pebble in and it's like splash, but then it goes away and it doesn't spread very far. So then I start building up other distribution channels and I throw my pebble into, say, a pond and ripples go out, but they dissipate quickly. So what I need to do is find ways to get more pebbles into that pond. And eventually, like killing this analogy, getting to a point where I have a great perspective inside of content and I throw a big rock into the pond. And that will hopefully spread those ripples all the way across to the other side. Those ripples, the distribution, the people getting to see it and then spreading it to the next ripple and to the next ripple. While those things go away, viral content eventually stops being viral. Its energy dissipates as it spreads across the internet. So you can't bet on a single piece of viral content being the thing that makes you a success. You need to start looking at where can I start distributing more of my content, get more of my rocks thrown into multiple puddles, multiple ponds, and eventually you start building up where you're able to make a splash in a very large body of water, where you all of a sudden are now a national celebrity, maybe an international celebrity, or at least in your own market, where you're internationally known in your market. So I think I killed that analogy. I think I beat it to death, but here's what you need to do to get distribution. Yes, you need to use your own blog. Yes, you need to use YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. These tools are available to you. You get to build up your own little media company. But the problem is it's really contained into small little ponds. When you're just getting started on YouTube or Instagram or something, you're essentially throwing tiny pebbles into a puddle. It doesn't spread very far. No one sees it. So you need to work on pushing that distribution. Get on other people's channels, get on other people's blogs, get on to things like Forbes and stuff like that. Try to get written about. Go to Harrow, help a reporter out, and try to be an expert that gets quoted. You need to start finding ways to expand your distribution of your opinion. Not necessarily educational content, but a point of view. You need to spread that so that people will pay attention to you. Because if they pay attention, then they're going to come back and they're going to consume more of your content. Then they'll like and trust you. But we've got to focus on getting known. Eventually, as people get to know you, they start coming back, that network effect. Each of your little channels that you're working on, doing your SEO on your blog and creating YouTube videos and doing your podcasts, what happens is that audience starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the more you communicate with that audience, the bigger it becomes. You end up with a spiral effect and you can start growing and growing and you have a bigger impact, so that when you do come out with something that's really good, maybe even has viral potential, and your audience is now big enough that you hit a tipping point, that when you put that content out there, it spreads rapidly and goes much further than your reach had ever been before. And that's where you're going to succeed. That's winning. I hope that I've convinced you that you need to be known. Go out there, find your audience, share your opinion, spread your ideas, and that is going to help you build your success far faster than anything else you can do. All right, we're at the end of the video, and that means whether you like me or trust me, I'm glad you know me. So please like, subscribe, share, and do all the socials, and let's meet right back here in the next video.